Be prepared for the unexpected. To say the weather in South Jutland is changeable is an understatement. But the full skies over the world-famous Voyens Speedway Centre did little to dampen the spirits of the thousands of fans who turned out to mark its return as a venue for the 2009 SGP Series. Not since 2002 has Denmark's premier track, built by the legend himself, Ollie Olsen, played host to a GP. But for round 8, we're back for another bite of the carrot. This time, it's the Nordic variety. The story of the year has been the rise and fall of riders 1 and 2 in the programme. The destiny of the world crown has all but been decided. However, a subplot has recently emerged in the guise of rider number 3, Thomas Golub. Armed with his hordes of travelling fans, that man from Bydgoszcz has been rampant, collecting championship points like they're going out of fashion. In a rain-sodden Sweden, the Pole sat in pole in the final after a meeting which saw 15 wins from the inside red gate. It was almost a foregone conclusion that Thomas was going to make it 16 on a track which resembled a mud bath. And true to form, he slipped and slided his way to the front and headed for the showers. Left wallowing in the dark stuff, Jason Crump battled hard to secure second spot from the home track heroes Hans Andersen and Kenneth Bier. But the night belonged to Golub, who notched up his first win of the year. That's a total of 15 for a career in the Grand Prix that has lasted since 1995 and seen him collect 4 bronze medals. Only once has he won a silver, which was exactly a decade ago. But for 2009, the veteran looks on course to double up. Mr. G's definitely still got what it takes to get deep down and dirty with the movers and shakers at the top end of the table.
Very good to my start in Malila and more points, and I think 20 points is more for me. And now it's second position in GP. It's very important for me position. Yeah, it's maybe next 4 Grand Prix and the last Grand Prix in the home. My track in Bydgoszcz. I think the second position is good for me.
Thomas has jumped from 4th in the standings ahead of Greg Hancock and Emil Seifuddinov, who both scored dismally in Melilla. Hans Andersen's second third of the year sees him make the top 8, but it's Jason Crump who stands tall and proud in the number 1 seat. He's extended his lead to 35 over the chasing pack. A big lead, but it's not all over yet.
No, unfortunately it's not, but you know, every Grand Prix we go to, it's one closer to the finish line, so I'm pretty happy about that. But unfortunately, there's a few more to go, and 35 points is very good, but not enough just yet.
The informed Australian has made every final so far, but is he feeling the pressure as the end of the series draws closer?
Just excited about what's happening, and I'm enjoying the racing. So it all seems pretty cool at the moment. But I'm sure with a couple to go, I might be start getting a bit edgy then. Just in the last couple of weeks, I've started to ride in England again. I haven't kind of been doing enough meetings. I went from doing too many in the past to in the last month or so, not quite enough. So I've had a few meetings in the last week, which has been good, and it's loosened me up a bit. So hopefully I can stay relaxed on the bike and keep enjoying it.
One rider that's not been enjoying it of late is Emil Seifuddinov. The Russian has been left wondering where it's all gone wrong. It started with a spat with Scott Nichols in round 5, which led to a loss of concentration and an early exit with only 7 points. The young gun failed to delight the Russian support in Latvia. A tricky track in Daugavpils also saw him not progress past the semis. His trip to Sweden for round 7 turned into a disaster, crashing out in heat 13. A score of 5 on the night left him down and out. It's been a frustrating time for Emil.
It was a little bit on the last round when it was raining, but now I'm not thinking about that. It just came like it is, so you have to live with it.
A capacity crowd of over 18,000 swelled the grandstands and created a red-hot atmosphere as the top guns of Speedway were introduced to the danger zone. And as an added bonus for the fans, a fly past by the Royal Danish Air Force was arranged to lift off the night in style. A pair of F-16 Fighting Falcons from the local Voyens Air Base let rip the afterburners and entertained the crowd as they went on manoeuvres in the skies above the stadium. We'll be getting a closer look at these supersonic machines with one of the GP flyboys a little later in the show. Niels Christian Iversen reported for duty as the wild card, his 3rd call of duty this season. But also receiving the good wishes of the crowd was Norwegian pole Rune Holter and Gregor Valacek, who were both celebrating birthdays tonight. Valacek was about to be handed a gift-wrapped birthday present by referee Tony Steele, who allowed him back in for the restart of Heat 1, despite the fact that he went through the tapes. In the restart, Jason Crump made the perfect opening to get his night off in style. Niels Christian Iversen was following him at this particular stage alongside Tomasz Golub, but as they worried about each other, Valacek was handed another birthday gift of second spot. Nicky Pedersen was back on form to delight the capacity crowd in heat number 2. Ahead of Andreas Jonsson and 1997 world champion Greg Hancock, Pedersen got 3 maximum points. Emil Sayfutdinov still has hopes of a rostrum finish, and he got this Grand Prix off to a dream opening with victory from gate number 4 over Rune Holter and Scott Nichols. Watched on by the legendary 3-times world champion Erik Gundersen, 2 more Danes took to the track in race number 4. Lindgren made a good start, but Hans Andersen took up the running early on. His joy was to be short-lived though, as fellow countryman Kenneth Bier picked him off initially, and then Fredrik Lindgren dived around the outside to go into second. Lee Adams then got in the mix, and Andersen had gone from first to last in spectacular style. Bier the winner of heat number 4. Andreas Jonsson was back to full fitness after several injury and illness problems, and he looked in fine form ahead of his fellow countryman Lindgren in heat number 5. Kenneth Bier was out again in heat number 6, and an immaculate start saw him get the better of the series leader Jason Crump, who worked hard to pass Chris Harris and Rune Holter to claim second spot. He made Bier work hard for his victory, but 6 points out of 6 on the board, and the tiny Dane was looking good at this stage. Andersen was out again and needed points in race number 7, but Greg Hancock used all his guile and experience to secure a fine win despite the efforts of the Dane. Andersen looked to have the lead at one stage, but Hancock is a tough cookie. He held on for a precious victory and then returned to the pits to chew over the fat with his former teammate Janno Pedersen, the 1991 world champion, talking with the 97 world champion. Heat number 8 was all about Pedersen versus Sayfutdinov, and we know what happens when these two get together. A little nudge down the back straight perhaps, and Nicky Pedersen came off, forcing referee Tony Steele into a tough decision. Would he exclude the young Russian? Or would he put out the Dane in front of his home fans? Eventually he decided Pedersen was at fault with his own version of simulation. The blue exclusion light came on, and as per usual, an ear bashing for the referee from Nicky. 3 riders only for the restart, and it was Lee Adams who hit the first turn ahead of the rivals. Tomasz Golub second in red, Emil Sayfutdinov in the white helmet. He worked hard though to dive under Golub and claim 2 points. Every rider had completed 2 rides apiece, and it was Kenneth Bier who was the maximum man at this particular stage. Jason Crump in second spot, Pedersen in 8th. The brollies went up in anticipation of the weather front hitting Voyens, and Lee Adams romped to a second successive victory in heat 9. But Niels Christian Iversen came to grief. Disaster for him, Sam.
Correct, Nige. Yeah, there he goes. He's not as happy as he wants to be, I can tell you that. His home crowd was looking at him. He went out there and threw those points away.
Heat number 10 then, and a big race for all these riders. Emil Sayfutdinov, 5 points so far off the inside. Same for Andreas Jonsson, off gate 2. Hans Andersen has only got 2 so far, desperate for points here. And the series leader, Jason Crump, also on 5 points. Heat number 10 it is, Sayfutdinov's pit crew. Watch on here, and this is a tasty lineup. Heat number 10, here we go. And Crump has made a good one off the outside gate. Sayfutdinov holds the inside line, tries to take Crump wide, but there's room for Crump to get around the outside. And now into turn 3, Sayfutdinov dives up the inside. Jonsson's coming through into second, but Crump holds on. Some race, Sam.
Yeah, all 3 of them were going into turn 3 charging for a lead, but it was Sayfutdinov that made sure that he moved Jason Crump out of the way, and he looks like he's pulling away from the rest of them.
It was tough, it was hard from Sayfutdinov, but that's what the youngster is all about. And now Jonsson comes through, and he's really pressurising Jason Crump. Disappointment for the Dane, Hans Andersen at the back, but look at this battle for second and third place. Every point vital, remember. Jonsson up the inside now of Jason Crump. Crump will wind it all on and hold his line. Now he'll go wide into the dirt. Has he got the drive? Jonsson holds on. What a race we've got. Into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Seifudinov's got the race in the bag. And Jonsson has just got the better of Jason Crump in a spectacular speedway race. And here is the result, with Seifudinovs getting 3 more points, moving on to 8. Jonsson, 2 points for him. A brave battle with that man, Jason Crump. And trailing at the back, Hans Andersen still only on 2 points. And looking as though he's going to miss out on the semi-finals. But that man is looking good for a spot in the semis on 8 points now. Reigning world champion Nicky Pedersen out in red off gate 1 in heat number 11. But he had to settle for 3rd place as his countryman Kenneth Pierre dived around the outside into 2nd, and Sebastian Ulemek was a surprise leader. Pedersen worked hard to try and pass Pierre, but Pierre's had a good run of form in the GPs, and Ulemek was a popular winner amongst his home fans. An inquiry in the pits. What is going on with Nicky Pedersen's machinery? Clearly not a happy man, and he has to get it right in his last 2 outings. Remember, he needs to get in the top 8 for next year. Heat 12 was incident-packed to say the least. In the restart, with all 4 riders back, it was a good start for Fredrik Lindgren. Thomas Golub was there with Rune Holter in white and Greg Hancock in yellow. Hancock dived up the inside of Golub, and this was the outcome as they went into turns 3 and 4. Not very often you see Greg Hancock do something like that, as Golub was sent sprawling. No alternative for the British referee Tony Steele but to exclude one of the world's most popular riders, but no major complaints from Hancock. 3 riders only for another restart of heat number 12. Golub looking good, but Lindgren forced him wide and crashed hard into Rune Holter. Once again, a simple decision for the referee to make, with Holter having to really get himself fit for the restart, and Golub injured on his way back to the pits. It left just 2 riders only in what was effectively a straight match race shootout. Rune Holter picked himself up off the floor and pulled off a fantastic win over Lindgren. That victory for Rune Holter put him level with Lindgren on 6 points apiece, and at the top, the dynamic Dane Kenneth Pierre level with Emil Seifudinovs. Lee Adams returns to form, but outside of the top 8, Nicky Pedersen and Hans Andersen.
Lee Adams, back-to-back wins for you, puts you in good shape at the halfway point.
Yeah, it's looking good, mate. Bike feels really good, making some good starts. It's obviously different once you get fresh air, you know. So, mate, we just got to keep grinding away and try and get ourselves into a good position for the final.
Weather affected practice yesterday, and we've had the track covers on all day. How is it out there?
Track's very good, you know, considering they just pulled it up and off we went. Obviously the rain's coming, we're going to try and get on with it, but it's holding up really good.
Track's holding up. Thomas Golub is getting strapped up. 1 point so far. Needs a vast improvement in his final 2 outings. Can he do it? We'll find out.
Let's face it, we're all blind.
Welcome back to the FIM Danced Metal Nordic Grand Prix in Vojens, Denmark. Magnificent setting, bumper crowd, terrific atmosphere. Heat number 13 is where we're at, with 2 big guns at the top of the leaderboard. Seifudinovs and that man, Kenneth Pierre, and Greg Hancock looking to make up for his exclusion last time out. Richard Child, his US team manager, watches on as Hancock goes off the inside. 4 points so far. Big ride needed. Seifudinovs off 2, Pierre off 3. They've both got 8 points apiece, and Iversen only has the 1 so far. A big race needed here from your fellow countryman, Greg Hancock, Sam.
Yes, that's for sure, but it's nice to see Emil Seifudinovs there raising his game too from his great start of the series earlier on. And Kenneth Pierre off 3, it's home track.
Heat 13 it is, and who is going to hit that first turn? It's Pierre magnificently, but he loses shape there. How on earth did he hang on to that? And Hancock responds just when it matters most. Seifudinovs is holding 2nd spot. Pierre is 3rd. Iversen is at the back. But Greg, Herbie Hancock from California, USA, holds the lead.
Yeah, he holds on to the lead, that's for sure, Nigel. He made a good start from the inside, but he did have everybody kind of pushing him going into turn 3. He's just stretching his lead a little bit with that little bit of confusion. Kenneth Pierre still getting out of shape on that bike.
Yep, manages to hang on to it. His fellow countryman Niels Christian Iversen is at the back right now. now, but Greg Hancock holding that lead, the 1997 world champion. There's the battle for third spot as we see the lead now, with Saifutinov really pressurising Greg Hancock. Hancock is going to need every bit of experience and knowledge from his career that he's gained in the 20 years that he's been riding professionally. Holds the line, coming round to the finish line. Has he done enough? Yes, just about. Magnificent stuff from Greg Hancock. Puts him on to 7 big points and gives himself a chance at a semi-final spot. Hancock the race winner. Second place there went to Emil Saifutinov, who worked it hard. Third place went to Kenneth Pierre, a Voyens rider in the Danish league, of course, and trailing at the back, Niels Christian Iversen. Big race from Greg Hancock, who'll feel a lot happier with life.
That's for sure. You know, when you go out there and you make that mistake as you did earlier to get excluded, every point counts at this stage.
Saifutinov moves into the lead with Pierre second on 9 now. Hancock into the top 8 with that victory.
Kenneth, 2 good wins to kick off the night. It's been a little bit slower since then.
Well, horse racing. My last one, I made a good start, and my dirty figure went into Puck's front wheel and just took off, and yeah, running a third, but cross finger if I'm not running a last today.
Well, interesting insight there from Kenneth Pierre about his dirt deflector going into Niels Christian Iversen's front wheel. Thankfully, the boys stayed on the bike. We're up to heat number 14 now, and what a lineup this is. Jason Crump off the inside, series leader. In red, Fredrik Lindgren, gate 2, 6 points the same as Crump. Nicky Pedersen needs points here. He's off gate 3 in white. And Scott Nicholls of Great Britain in the yellow helmet colour. A big race. Nicky Pedersen under a little bit of pressure here, Sam.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He needs to pick his game up, and I'm sure that he's going to be really concentrating on not disappointing his fans that are watching him.
Remember, it's all about getting into the top 8 to guarantee your spot in the 2010 series. Pedersen's got the backing of this big crowd, but Lindgren has made a good one there. Now Pedersen goes wide in the white helmet colour, charging through his Crump. Watch him go into third place here as Nicholls is relegated to the back. The lead is with Fredrik Lindgren. Pedersen will wind it on and really push Lindgren hard. Over the next 3 laps, you can be sure of that, and don't rule out Crump yet.
I tell you, that I know each and every one of these riders are looking for a little bit more traction. Hopefully there'd be a bit there, but it's not there. Look how hard Nicky's trying to work it outside. Fredrik thinks he's got it under control, but Nicky just squeezes around him.
Wonderful ride from Nicky Pedersen, and the roar of the crowd tells its own story. Pedersen has the lead. Another big ride from him just when the pressure cooker was really, really hot. Pedersen has that lead. Lindgren is second. Crump is third. This will put Jason Crump on 7 points. And now Scott Nicholls charging up the inside. Crump still has work to do to secure a semi-final spot. But Nicky Pedersen has pulled off a victory just when it mattered most. And the crowd are absolutely ecstatic with that. He is still as popular as ever with the Danish fans. He is, of course, the Danish champion. Pedersen the winner. Second place there went to Fredrik Lindgren. A fantastic speedway race. Lindgren on to 8 points. Jason Crump now has work to do, as we say, to secure a semi-final spot. And Scott Nicholls failed to score. That was terrific speedway.
Yeah, Scotty might have failed to score, but he went out there and mixed up with him. Coming off turn 2, he almost got himself into second position, but Nicky on the outside in the white helmet color took care of him coming around the outside. And then he just put the pressure on Freddie Lindgren that was in the blue helmet there, and he just goes straight around him, but it took about 4 laps for him to get in that position.
Have to emphasize again what a great job the covers did earlier. We are seeing some terrific speedway despite heavy rain that has been around Voyens throughout the day. And look at the concentration through the goggles of that man, Nicky Pedersen. 2 wins from his 4 rides so far. Needs another point or 2 to get into the semi-finals, but that was a hard-fought victory. Rune Holter was out in heat number 15, but Andreas Jonsson was the star of the show, moving on to 10 points to put himself automatically into the semi-final with a race in hand. Second place, Gregor Vanacek, but look out for Lee Adams in the red helmet colour. Started with 7 points from 3 rides, but his form suddenly just seemed to be switched off in heat number 15 as he trailed in at the back. Jonsson, though, was perfect. Straight through to the semi-finals, into double figures with 1 race remaining and fully fit again. But Lee Adams with work to do in his last ride, and it's all very, very tight for the semi-final spots. Too close for comfort for Lee Adams then. Here we see the leaderboard. Look how tight it is. The top 8 get into the semis. Jason Crump is just hanging on in there on 7 points with Halter. Look at all the riders on 7, Pedersen included. Jonsson the leader on 10. Lower down the order, Thomas Golub, only 1 point so far. Big race needed from Golub then. It may well be that he's already out of contention for a semi-final spot, but every point counts. He's got suspected cracked ribs. He's riding through the pain barrier. Ulemek off the inside. In red, Chris Harris gate 2 in blue. Thomas Golub will go off gate 3. And off the outside, only 2 points so far for Hans Andersen. Heat number 16, and Golub showing his guts and determination here.
He sure is. I mean, just coming off of a win in Malilla in Sweden last time out in the Grand Prix. He needs to pick up his game now.
Golub in white riding through the pain barrier then, and what a start he's made! Cracked ribs or not, there's nothing wrong with his gating. That was magnificent, and now his fellow Pole, Seb Ulemek, comes into second place now. Andersen, the Dane, is at the back because Chris Harris has charged through now in the blue helmet colour. But Thomas Golub looking brilliant. Andersen now taking out Harris wide. Just about hangs on Chris Harris. That was hard, but it's Grand Prix Speedway, the toughest speedway in the world.
Harris is trying to pick it up now, desperately looking to get in there, throws his rip off in anger, and says, come on, get this bike going again. Hans has now moved to the outside, trying to get a bit extra, but it's Thomas that made that perfect start, Nigel, and it's just clean up, gone.
Yeah, he certainly has, Sam. He's looking brilliant, isn't he, Thomas Golub? Looking very confident, looking very stylish. Remember, he's feeling the pain all the time with every twist and turn. Andersen in third place, Ulemek is the man in second, but look at Thomas Golub. How impressive is that? Golub takes the victory, Ulemek second, and Hans Andersen just about hangs on for a point in third place, which won't be enough to get him through to the semi-finals. But Thomas Golub, with the backing of the Polish fans in this crowd, a welcome victory for him. Second place, Seb Ulemek, also of Poland. Third place there went to Hans Andersen. It was a hard-fought third place because he had to battle with this man, Chris Harris.
Yeah, Thomas Golub, when you're in pain and you then have to rely on your best assets, and this guy took off out of the start, out of gate 3, made a clean one into the first corner. Nobody disturbed him, and he just went to work using the racetrack, getting the bike stretching out. The race then continued behind him as Hans Andersen was desperately trying to make sure he was going to get into the point some way or another, and he definitely took out Chris Harris in that race, and he got that third place.
4 points means that he needs a win, but even then, it might not be enough to get him into the semi-finals. In fact, it probably won't be as we study the leaderboard now. Clutch of riders on 7 points. Jonsson and Seifeldenoff are well clear. They're in the semis, so is Bier, but the rest of the boys are fighting for the semi-finals.
It's good to see what a fair Andreas Jonsson can do on the track.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's working good.
So, you know, I mean, again, you're healthy, you're fit, but the bikes are working. It's all working for you tonight.
Yeah, you know, I feel pretty good. You know, I didn't practice yesterday because I thought it was going to be different anyway, and it's a totally new track. So we came here with an open mind, and we find the setup pretty fast. And you know, I haven't changed so much. A few small changes, and it's only been better. So I'm happy.
Jonsson looking good then, an even spread across the gate positions in terms of victories. Gate 3 just about favourable, but not a lot in it so far. So plenty of opportunity for the boys, and one man who's got to get it right from the start in his last race is Jason Crump.
My name is Donald Schultz.
Welcome back to Voyens. Well, in fact, to the Danish Air Force Base, situated at the end of turns 3 and 4 of tonight's Grand Prix track. Current world champion Nicky Pedersen was given an access all areas pass to have a look around the base and its F-16 fighter Falcons that are stationed here. These impressive craft, built in 1978 and commissioned for another 10 years, reach speeds of Mach 2 and heights of 40,000 feet and make up part of Denmark's national defence system. Climbing into the danger zone, the maverick of Speedway clearly relished the thought of patting his hands on something with a little more horsepower than the standard 70 he gets from his bike. Press officer of Fighter Wing Skystruck Brian Jensen was on hand to give the world number 1 an overview of the operations at the base and what goes into keeping Denmark safe at night.
This can go
get smaller and bigger. So it's like a balloon.
Yeah.
Blow it up and then you let it go. It flies. So they say that if you compete with horsepower, it's around 120,000.
Oh, it's tremendous, you know. It's even the workshop they were building and repairing the flight was tremendous. You're sitting in it and enjoying it. It could have been nice to be in the second seat and had a go as well, but that has to be another time.
Well, back to more conventional horsepower for Nicky Pedersen. Heat number 17 of the FIM Dansk Metal Nordic Grand Prix. Will Pedersen make a flying start? He's on 7 points going into this race. Fellow Dane Niels Christian Iversen's off the inside. Pedersen off 2. Hans Andersen, who won't reach the semi-finals, is off gate 3. And Rune Holter, who's also on 7 points. He goes off the outside, so a lot of pressure on Nicky Pedersen here, Sam.
A flying start would just be the perfect recipe for the guy. Sitting on 7 will bring him into 10. Will give him an opportunity to go straight into that semi-final.
Heat 17 it is then. Big race for Pedersen off gate 2 in blue. And he's made a perfect start. Hits that first turn ahead of his rivals magnificently. And coming round is Rune Holter in the yellow helmet colour. Holter's going to put pressure on Pedersen now. Iversen holds third, with Andersen trailing at the back on a poor night for him. But Nicky Pedersen handling the pressure superbly.
Iversen's working it. He's trying to get in there with him and mix it up, but it's Rune Holter, the yellow helmet color, as you say, Nige, putting the pressure on Nicky. Can he hold on to it? He looks like he's going for it.
This would give Nicky 10 points, and the battle for third is between 2 more Danes, Iversen in red and Hans Andersen in the white helmet colour. Neither rider will make the semi-finals now, so it's all academic really for those boys. But Andersen, remember, wants to get in the top 8 for next season, so every point vital in the context of the series overall. Nicky Pedersen, though, charging clear down the back straight. He really is making this race his own, and he's going to take the checkered flag and book himself a place in the semi-finals here in Boyens. Rune Holter, we should mention, should have done enough there as well. He's on to 9 now, and that should be enough for Holter too. But Pedersen, 10 points for him. I wonder if he's just timing his momentum to reach the final and maybe win here in Denmark. Pedersen the winner, Holter was second. Third place there went to Hans Andersen, and trailing at the back, the wild card, Niels Christian Iversen.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's really mastered the setup for this racetrack. They're all out there searching for whatever they can get. Nicky made a great start, which we really was depending on. Holter on the outside, tries to wind it up, and as he gets just alongside Nicky, he just drives a little bit too wide there, and he has a resort to cut back to the inside and work that side of it to see if he can pull Nicky off of his line. But Nicky made no mistakes all the way to the finish line.
That pit crew is a little bit happier now. John Jorgensen, former rider himself, of course, talking to Nicky. And I'm sure the atmosphere in the Pedersen pits is a lot better now. 10 points for Nicky alongside Seifudenoff and Jonsson, who've got a race in hand. Nicky has done enough, though. And it's all very tight with Crump outside of the top 8 now, the series leader, as well as Thomas Gollop in 12th place. Heat number 18, and Jason Crump needs points here to secure a semi-final spot. Crump goes in the blue helmet colour. He's got a comfortable lead in the World Championship, but he's taking nothing for granted. Ulemek off the inside in red. Crump, 7 points so far. Hancock, 7 points so far. Adams, 7 points so far. Talk about a pressure race, Sam.
And all three of these guys know what it takes to win a race, but whether they got this setup right now is real important. Crump's team's looking on to make sure that they've done the right adjustment. Crumpy's desperate to make sure he continues to make every final in the series.
Could well be that the countback system comes into play in this meeting. Heat number 18, the outside 3 riders all on 7 points, but what a start from Seb Ulemek in the red helmet colour. 6 points so far for him. Now charging through, Ulemek has got the better of Crump. Now watch out for Greg Hancock in white. Hancock's gone wide. Greg Hancock down the home straight. Wonderful ride from Hancock. Ulemek second, Crump third, and that might not be enough for him.
Yeah, Crumpy's trying to follow Greg's lead, going straight around Ulemek. Ulemek made a great start. He got in the way of these boys, but he settled to stay right tight. And guess what? Leaves a big door open. Crumpy's desperate to try to get in there. He's changed to the inside. No, he stays to the outside. One more go.
What's going on with Lee Adams? 2 wins from his opening 3 rides, and now he's on his way to a second successive last place, and he's going out of the meeting. So, drama for Adams, but the lead is with Hancock. Block out for Crump here. He knows he needs this second place. He can't rely on third to guarantee a semi-final place. He might be in a bit of trouble here, Crump, but Hancock is through to the semi-finals. What a ride from Greg Hancock, Mr. Popular. And that was a hard-fought victory over Sebastian Ulemek. Magnificent from Hancock. Second place was Ulemek. Third place, Jason Crump, who moves on to 8 points and is not guaranteed a semi-final place. And at the back, Lee Adams, who definitely will not be in the semi-finals.
Points count. Jason was looking for one extra one to make sure he is going to get in there. It's going to be tight.
Finn Jensen talking to him, his engine tune-up, and this was vintage Hancock sound.
It sure was. When the pressure was on, he come up with the goods, but he had to battle with Ulemek, because Ulemek made the start, was almost going to be the spoiler, but Ulemek decided to stay close to the inside to protect it, and as he did that, you can see it once again. Ulemek on the inside in the red helmet color, tight line coming around turn 2. Hancock's forced to the outside, desperately trying to get around him. Crumpy's desperately trying to get up the inside and still trying to get up the inside of Ulemek towards the end as Hancock takes the win.
Crump knows he's in a bit of trouble here. For the first time this season, he's looking at failing to make the semi-finals. As we see the points scoring right now, Crump is still in the top 8, but Freddie Lindgren only needs a point from his last ride to put Crump out of semi-final contention. That is how close Crump is now to failing to make the cut. But significantly, in the context of the season, his nearest rival, Thomas Gollop, there is still behind Crump, so it's not a disaster tonight for the series leader. He will still be comfortably ahead with 3 rounds to go. Fredrik Lindgren is the man to watch here off gate number 3 in white, because he needs a point to go through to the semi-finals, and that would be bad news for Jason Crump. Valacek inside, side-footing off gate 2. Lindgren the man to watch off gate 3. Harris off the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Lindgren knows what's needed here, Sam.
Saifutinov team knows what his guy needs as well. 3 more points to be nice. The rain's just starting to come down, and I know Fredrik's definitely capable of making an extra point out of this one.
Lindgren needs that point, but can he get even more than that? The lead is with Emil Saifutinov off early on. A lovely move up the inside. Lindgren is second now. Watch out for Lindgren. The rain's pouring down, but it's not dampening his enthusiasm because he's going high and wide into the dirt. That's a lovely move from fast Freddie Lindgren.
Look at the rain coming down. The best place to be, Nigel, right now is to keep that back wheel into that dirt. That water mixes up with it, will give you that extra drive. Look at Saifutinov up the inside, just skating across it, definitely trying to see if he can get an advantage on Valacek. No way.
Valacek is in second place now, but he would finish on 7 points. Saifutinov would pick up a point and finish on 11. But Saifutinov, despite the conditions, is still winding it on. But the race is all about the man up front, Freddie Lindgren. He only needed a point. He's going to get 3 here, and he's going to head into the semi-finals on 11 points. A magnificent effort from Fredrik Lindgren in only his 2nd full season of Grand Prix racing. It's absolutely tipping down with rain. But Freddie Lindgren is delighted. He's seen in the rain because he is heading through to the semi-finals of the Dansk Metal Nordic Grand Prix. Wonderful ride from Lindgren. Second place, Gregor Valacek. Third place there went to Saifutinov, who finishes on 11. And trailing at the back was Great Britain's Chris Harris. Heat 19. Lindgren worked it hard, and he got his reward magnificently. And Jason Crump has missed the semi-finals.
He sure has, all down to this guy making a good start. In the white helmet color, as you say, as Fredrik Lindgren goes straight to the outside, into the dirt. A good place to be. A smart racer would understand that that's where you got to be when the rain comes down. Look at Chris Harris get all out of shape, but just look at those pictures of the rain coming down. Can this guy actually see what he's doing? He's out in front, he don't care. He's got that throttle turned on, 3 more points in the bag.
The umbrellas are up as we look at what that means now, and Jason Crump is out of the top 8 for the first time this season. Lindgren joins Saifutinov at the top of the leaderboard with Nicky Pedersen, Greg Hancock, Andreas Jonsson, Kenneth Pierre and Rune Holter all securing a semi-final spot.
Jason stating the obvious, but not the night you were looking for.
a good day at work today, but what can I say? I tried as hard as I could in every race, and I guess I was just too slow letting the clutch out. So we come back in 2 weeks and hopefully score some more points. Obviously it's my mistakes. The bikes felt fine. They were good in practice yesterday, and today I just couldn't get the first corner, so down to me.
Very honest Jason Crump, a superb interview from him. And heat number 20 was a victory for Thomas Gollop, his second win on the trot. How he was ruining missed points earlier in the meeting as far as he was concerned, but Kenneth Bier continued his good form, picking up second spot, and that was enough to put him on 11 to top the leaderboard with 2 other riders going into the semi-finals. Confirmation then of how it stands. The top 8 clear-cut, with Ulemek making the cut on the countback system over Jason Crump. Saifudinov, Bier and Jonsson topping that leaderboard with Pedersen and Hancock on 10, Rune Holter on 9 points. The semi-final lineup is now known. That man won't make it. Cracked ribs, 7 points, and losing ground on Jason Crump in the race for the title, Thomas Gollop. Here's the gate stats, Sam.
Yeah, this track has been fairly even all night long, and you can see by the gate stats that gate 3's got slight an advantage, but it's a dangerous place to be at this time in the race meeting if you're coming out of the semifinals. As we see straight away, Saifudinov goes for the inside.
Yep, with Lindgren off 2, Hancock going off the outside, and Rune Holter going for gate 3. Gate 1 is a pretty popular choice, first time up for these boys, with Jonsson going off 2. Nicky is going to try the outside line, and Seb Ulemek is left with gate number 3. The semi-finals are on the way with no Crump, no Gollop, no Adams. Is the guard changing in the Speedway GP? Welcome back to the FIM Dansk Metal Nordic Grand Prix in Vojens, Denmark. A terrific crowd packing this purpose-built Speedway venue, built in the 70s and improving all the time. We're up to the semi-final stage as we see Greg Hancock going off gate 4 and Fredrik Lindgren, who had to work hard in his last outing to secure his semi-final place and has worked hard for his points all night. Saifudinov continues his fairy tale debut Grand Prix year off the inside in red. Fredrik Lindgren, gate 2 in blue. Gate 3 in white is Rune Holter. And off the outside in yellow is the former world champion, Greg Hancock.
Yeah, very important starting techniques needed right now because the rain has come down. It's put a little water on the track. It's a little bit icy coming off the start, so these boys were pulling everything they know to make a good start.
Who will reach the final? The first 2 getting to the final, and Greg Hancock didn't make the best of starts there. Saifudinov has made an absolute dream start in red. Second place is Holter. Watch out for Lindgren coming through. Oh, and Holter has closed the door superbly. Lindgren, given half an opportunity, would have wound it on and charged up the inside. But Rune Holter must have had eyes in the back of his head.
That means so much to these guys to get into that top 2 places right now, because that'll take you right to the final. But it was all about Emil Saifudinov. Just makes a great start, and he took control of it. Greg Mast made a mess of it off 4, and the race continues. As you say, hold on to second.
Saifudinov has got 2 Grand Prix wins from 2 finals this season. Will he make it a hat-trick? Remember, we must underline it's his debut Grand Prix year. And what a rider, what a breath of fresh air. He's going to be on this scene for many, many years to come. You can be sure of that. It looks as though it's clear-cut for the final now. Saifudinov in red and Holter in white. They're on their way through. Freddie Lindgren and Greg Hancock failed to make the cuts. And Emil Saifudinov continues a wonderful, wonderful story of Grand Prix Speedway by qualifying for another final. Saifudinov the winner. Second place, Rune Holter. They go through. Third place was Freddie Lindgren, who charged hard early on but didn't get through as Holter closed the door. And Greg Hancock trailing at the back. Remember, the points in the final count for double. And Saifudinov still with high hopes of finishing on the rostrum this season, Sam.
Yeah, Hancock made a mess of that thing coming off of the outside gate. It just blew his whole momentum, but Saifudinov in the red holds down to the inside, and just look at Freddie Lindgren trying desperately to get underneath. Rune Holter, no chance of doing it. This guy took the 3 points. Well, now he's going to have a chance of making that double when he goes into the final.
We'll see how Emil gets on in the grand final, but coming up we have the second semi-final. And thankfully the rain has passed and we're seeing some good speedway again. Full credit to everybody connected with this meeting, because we've seen some super speedway as we see shots of Nicky Pedersen there in yellow, Andreas Jonsson in blue, who is good to see is back to full fitness and riding well. Kenneth Pierre off the inside in red. Can he make it yet another final appearance here? Jonsson off 2, Ulemek 3, and Nicky Pedersen going off the outside. No doubt where the support is here. Gates 1 and 4, the 2 Danes.
Yeah, you can count on that, but he can't make a mistake, and his team's looking at him as well. You know, Greg did it. Can he do it? Just keep that front end down.
Here we go with the second semi-final, and Jonsson's made a beautiful start off gate 2, and Pedersen spots the move and dives up the inside of Pierre. Is taken wide. Now Jonsson has got the drive and comes round the outside of Pedersen. Watch out for Kenneth Pierre. A battle of the Danes here. Down the home straight as Pierre did it up. Oh my word! Where did he find that from?
That guy's a pocket rocket. Look at that thing ripping down the racetrack. Nicky doesn't know what to do with it. He's now going to cut to the inside and hopefully protect it, because second place is good enough. Look at Nicky desperately trying to get in there.
Kenneth Pierre had a great World Cup, scored a maximum here for Denmark in the World Cup, and he's heading through to the final. If he can hold off the man in yellow, his fellow countryman Nicky Pedersen, the Swede Andreas Jonsson is on his way through to the final with a magnificent ride up front. But Pierre has one lap of this buoyant track to hold out. Nicky Pedersen will work him and work him and work him hard. Pedersen now is holding the big track line. Pierre's done enough. Pierre has done enough. And Jonsson wins it. Pierre second, Pedersen third. Ulemek at the back. And once again, very, very tense speedway action in this Grand Prix as Jonsson books his spot in the final with Kenneth Pierre. His third final on the trot. Brilliant. Pedersen third. And trailing in at the back was Sebastian Ulemek, who's had a pretty good night in this Grand Prix. Pedersen looked good early on, Sam, but didn't make the cut.
Just goes to show the quality of these guys and how desperate they are to make sure that they make the final. I can't believe how great Nicky made of a first corner of that one. He went in there, shot himself in front, but on the outside of him in the blue was Andreas Jonsson, which cleanly went right around him. And then here comes Kenneth Pierre straight around Nicky as well, and Nicky has no answer for that one. Man, what a great ride from this guy.
Yeah, Kenneth Pierre in the form of his career, rides in the GP Challenge at Coventry to try and book his place for next year in the Grand Prix, but he may do it anyway by finishing in the top 8 this year. He's in yet another final, but Nicky Pedersen isn't.
It's just been tough, and obviously we everybody knows, and when it gets very, very slick, you know, I don't seem to find the right setup, but we was fighting all the way, you know, and no, fair play to Kenneth, you know, he had a better setup than I had, you know, but, you know, at least I was in the semi-final.
The pick for the final is on the way. Who will go for what, Sam?
Yeah, you don't want to go for those stats, I don't believe, because the track is changing. The inside gates, I think, are a bit better.
The final of the FIM Dance Metal Nordic Grand Prix. Can that man make it a hat-trick? Emil Seifutinov in his debut Grand Prix season and get a third victory as we see Andreas Jonsson back to full fitness. And good to see him in the grand final tonight. Here's the lineup across the gate positions. Emil Seifutinov off the inside in the red helmet. Gate 2 in blue is Andreas Jonsson. Gate 3, white, Kenneth Pierre. Rune Holter going off the outside. All the support is for Pierre, but Seifutinov knows double points in the final, and he can boost his chances of a rostrum finish at the end of the season. And a fine start from Jonsson off gate 2. That was textbook. Diving around the outside. Here's the man in the yellow helmet colour, Rune Holter, who celebrates his birthday today. 36 years of age. What a present that would be if he was to win this meeting. He goes high and wide, but Jonsson holds the line. Seifutinov is third. Pierre's at the back. Andreas Jonsson currently occupying the front, which would mean 6 big points, but watch out for Rune Holter.
Birthday boy Holter's desperately trying to get that thing hooked up, but I think he's just losing sight of the fact of actually taking the advantage over Andreas Jonsson, who made a great start. And Seifutinov just clats Kenneth Pierre, and he's on the ground. Danish fans won't be happy with that one. What's the referee gonna do?
Drama at the end of the final here. I'm sure we're going to have to do it again. And Andreas Jonsson will be gutted with that because he's made the start. He was set for 6 big points, but now Pierre is in the fence on the back straight. And let's hope that he's going to be okay, because that was a high high-speed incident as we see it again here, Sam.
Yeah, look at ML. He just kind of hooked up, took the bike a little bit too wide, and as he did, he clattered the front end of Kenneth. Kenneth had nowhere to go but to put the bike down. And as he does, straight with his back into the fence. I'll have to agree with you. I hope he is all right. But I'm sure if he's got any guts, and he will be trying to get himself up to go and make the restart, because he has a chance now of possibly taking the lead in the second restart of the final.
Saifuganov won't play any part. That was a tough ride. I'm sure there was nothing intended there. That was just Grand Prix Speedway. It's tough, it's hard. And now Kenneth Pierre prepares for the rerun.
Emil, was that a fair decision?
I don't know. It's referee. As me, it's not a good decision. As I know, it's Speedway is the soul is everything. Thank you very much. It's my team. It's my family. It's my girlfriend Arisha. I love you. it's nothing.
Speedway fans love you, Emil, but he won't be in action here in the restart of the final. 3 riders only then, so every rider remaining here will score double points. Andreas Jonsson, Kenneth Pierre, and Rune Holter. Pierre wants the points to strengthen his claims for an automatic top 8 spot for next season, remember. And Jonsson makes a good one for the second time of asking. Pierre is second. Rune Holter is third. Can he dive up the inside of Pierre? Going into turn 3, it's a tough one. Pierre's held the line. Jonsson looking good, but Pierre again under pressure now. And Holter comes through, but full credit to Andreas Jonsson because he's made the start for the second time in a grand final.
They sure are. They're just lying the way they finished in the last one. Just take ML out of there and you got a good quality field. Look at Holter getting all out of shape. As you say, Andreas Jonsson's going to be loving the fact that he's seeing fresh air.
Well, before this meeting, Andreas Jonsson was in 5th place in the Grand Prix standings and is strengthening his place in the top 5 now. But look at this battle for second spot. Pierre knows how much he needs the points. Holter is second. Pierre is third now. The Voyens fans really rallying behind Kenneth Pierre. But Andreas Jonsson is well ahead of his rivals here and looking magnificent. AJ on his way to victory. Look what it means to him. Holter secures second spot. Kenneth Pierre third, so 2 points for him, but 6 points for Andreas Jonsson. And a magnificent night of Speedway in Voyens comes to an end. And right on cue, the rain returns. But Andreas Jonsson's celebrations will go well into the night. Here's the result. Andreas Jonsson the winner. Second place there went to Rune Holter. Remember, 4 points for him. Third place to Kenneth Pierre. 2 points for the pocket-sized Dane. And no points for Emil Saifuganov, who's had a good night but was excluded from the restart. Celebration time for Andreas Jonsson. A terrific night for him.
Kenneth Pierre, your 3rd final in a row.
Yeah, I'm pleased to make the final again, and disappointed not winning, but get 3-1 the best one, and I tried my best.
First things first, happy birthday. It was nearly the perfect birthday.
Yeah, it was a great night. It's always nice to be here at Voyens, and it's always a good atmosphere, and thank you everyone who was here today. It was great.
AJ, the last time we talked at this point of a Grand Prix, it was the 100th Grand Prix. You've done well, but it's been a long time since you stepped on the top step.
Definitely, you know, but better late than ever, so I'm back again, and it feels really nice. And definitely nice to be back in Denmark, because I know these people love me here.
Well, this is how it stands. Jason Krupp didn't make the semis, but has still got a comfortable lead of 36 points in the race for the title over Thomas Golub. Greg Hancock is third, just a point ahead of Emil Saifuganov, and Andreas Jonsson in a comfortable 5th place position now. Outside of the top 8, some big names, Hans Andersen and Lee Adams included. Celebrations for Andreas Jonsson then, who's got hopes of a podium finish now. The race on for the top 3. The race is on for the top 8. 3 rounds to go. Slovenia's next.